Hello everybody, it's time for math. We are going to do some algebra. Don't be sad, there is absolutely no graphing, so I know that that's a good thing for our math today. The rest is not too bad, I don't think, because we've already kind of learned some of this stuff already. So let's turn to section 11.3, page 729. I hope everybody is doing well. We're going to talk about radical expressions and equations today, which we've been doing already with the square root sign. Remember, radical is the square root sign. So we're just going to do more of that. Page 729, section 11.3, example 1. Here we go. So example 1. 2 root x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, so remember, when you have an equals 0, that means we're going to get a number when we're done. We're going to actually be solving. I notice that always all of my stuff slants down. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we're going to get actual solutions of what x is in this case. So remember, we solved the variable last. We leave that alone until the very end. Remember, anything that's with the variable has to stay with it till the very end. We need to get rid of all the regular stuff first. So when I say regular stuff, I mean the just regular numbers that have no letters or anything to deal with, okay? So we have a negative 8 right here. So we're going to get rid of that. And the opposite of negative is positive. So we're going to add that 8. We're going to be fair, and we're going to do it to both sides so that it remains equal. The 2 square root x drops down. This went away. 0 plus 8 is 8. Okay, now we have the square root x that we are trying to get that x by itself. I can't deal with that square root sign until this 2 is gone. Remember, when they're right next to each other, that means they're multiplying. So to get rid of that 2, we have to do the opposite, which is divide. So we're going to divide by 2. It's always weird. I always want to ask you guys what to do, but you're not here. See? Oh, I can't flip you around. Nobody's here. So we're going to divide by 2. When I do that, root 2 goes away, that 2 goes away, I have a root x, and this would be a 4. Now, how do I get rid of a square root sign? We square it, right? That's the opposite. So we're going to square, but we have to be fair. We have to do it to the side as well. X is going to equal, what is 4 squared, everybody? 16. Remember, if you don't know, I don't want you to miss a problem because you don't know. Just put it into your calculator and see. What's more important is that we know how to solve this, not that we remember right now what 4 squared is, okay? So we got our solution is 16. It says in the example that we're supposed to check it. What that means is just to plug it in here. If this was 16 right here, square root of 16 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 8 is indeed 0. So that worked perfectly. Okay, let's turn the page to example number 2. Example number 2 on page 730. 4 times the square root of x minus 7 plus 12 equals 28. Okay, we got to get rid of regular numbers first. So we got this right here. Let's go ahead and do a minus 12. This drops down. That goes away. This would be 16, I think. Okay, now this is multiplying, right? So our next job is to get rid of this. Okay, so opposite of multiplying is divide. Both sides to be fair. We still have root x minus 7, and it's going to equal 4. Okay? Now, all that's left on this side is a square root. So now is the time when we get rid of the square root, because that's all that's left over there. Okay, so now we have a square root. The opposite of that is to square it, but we're going to be fair and do it on both sides. X minus 7 is going to equal 16 again. So we're back to 16. Now we just need to get rid of this minus 7. So we're going to add 7. And we're going to get that x is 23. Okay, so x is 23. Does it say to check? We can check the solution. They did it there. We're not going to spend the time to do it because these videos get too long if I do that. But you can plug it in and see if it works. Okay, example number 3. Example number 3. Okay, for example number 3, we have a square root on 2 sides now, on both sides of the equation, but it's okay. Don't be scared. I'll show you how to do it. Okay, and on this side of the equation as well, x plus 21. Now, there's nothing to move around in this case because everything is under a square root sign. So our first job is to go ahead and get rid of the square roots because that's all we can do. We can't move things in and out of square root signs. That's not okay. That's a don't do that. So our first job, because all that there is square roots, is to go ahead and get rid of the square roots. And to get rid of a square root, we square it. So we're going to square this side and we're going to square that side. So we have a 3x minus 17. That goes away. We have an x plus 21. Now look how awesome that is. Now it's just regular, easy solving. Okay, we get all our x's together. So I like to move the smaller x. Now we move our 17 over here. I'm pretty sure you guys are probably doing this very quickly with me because we've done a lot of solving. We're going to divide by 2, and x is going to be, I have no idea, x is going to be 19 because 20 would be 40. That's a really beautiful 19 right there. Okay, so if you're starting with all that you can do a square root, you can go ahead and square right away to get rid of the square roots. If that's all there is, you can do first thing, okay? No problem. All right, example number 4. How are we liking this stuff? I think it's pretty fun. It's just solving, kind of like we did it more at the beginning of the year. It's just adding a radical, so it seems a little crazy, but it's not that bad. Okay, so root 6 minus x, you're gonna love this one, equals x. Okay, example number 4. Now remember I told you you cannot move things in and out of a square root sign, so I cannot add the x and move it with this one. That's not allowed, that's illegal. You can't do that. So, oh, my hair is driving me crazy. Okay, so we need to really, because I can't move this over here and I can't move this over here, we really are just gonna have to square root first thing to get rid of that square root sign to make things a little easier for us. So we're gonna go ahead and square, but we have to be fair and do it to this side. Okay, now that'll cancel, and this will remain as an x squared. I know that's totally weird looking and you're not used to it, but I'll fix it for you really quick right now, okay? When I have an x squared, remember my job is to get everything on the same side. So let's go ahead and add our x and subtract our 6 so that everything is all on the same side. And now I have 0 over there. Now this should look pretty familiar because the entirety of last chapter was on quadratic equations. Luckily for you, you can solve it any way you want. I think factoring would be the easiest this time because I have x and a 6 would be a 3 and a 2, probably a plus and a minus. I wish you were here to check me. I factored, but have I solved yet? They're equals 0, so I have to go one step further and solve, right? So remember, to solve, x would either be -3 or +2, right? -3, +2, and those would be my answers, okay? You could check it and make sure it works. It says to check because it could have an extraneous solution. I'll tell you what that is here in a second, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and plug in our -3. We're gonna check it. So 6 minus -3 would really be a plus, right? So 6 plus 3 would be 9. The square root of 9 would be 3. -3 on this side, I forget, oh yeah, it didn't have a square before. So does 3 equal -3? It does not, right? This is not true. So did -3 actually work in my equation? It didn't. So in this case, I had what's called an extraneous solution. It's a solution that doesn't actually work in the original equation. So you have to check those today. And if it doesn't work, you can't write it down as a solution because it truly is actually not. 2 works, it's totally fine. -3, did not work. It's an extraneous solution. Your answer in this case would only be 2. So if it says to check for extraneous solutions, you really truly have to do that because your answers will be wrong if you don't test them out, okay? Extraneous just means we got that solution, but it actually doesn't work in the equation. So you gotta check your answers today. So let's look at some directions. Starting right away with number 3, it says check for extraneous solutions. So what that means is you'll solve possibly and get 2 answers. You better check them both because if one of them doesn't work, you can't write it down because it's not truly a real solution. Okay, so I know you'll love that because you get to do all that extra checking and all that extra mathing. It'll be awesome. So much more mathing will be phenomenal. So I hope you enjoy checking your answers and your extraneous solutions and just have a good time. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye.